Friends, in this video we are detailedly study about the power flow and dynamic stability consideration of a transmission interconnection. So let's begin. Friends, for the sake of the understanding of the power flow and dynamic stability consideration of a transmission line, first of all we can understand a simplified form of a transmission line. So friends, as shown in figure, this will be the first type of voltage. We call it as the sending end voltage, which will be called it as the E1 at an angle of del 1, and this will be the another type of voltage. We call it as the E2 at an angle of del 2. So where we E2 will be called it as the receiving station. Okay, so friends, the power will be flowing through that the line, that is line 1 to 2, that is the power P is called it as the active power. So P will be called it as the active power, and power Q will be called it as the reactive power. Reactive power. So friends, as we seen that in that particular single line diagram, we actually consider the value of X. We call it as X is a inductive impedance of a transmission line, and as we seen that in concern with the single line of your power system, we are basically ignoring the value of your resistance and capacitance. So we are taking the only consideration of the value of the inductive impedance. So the line EL will be having the voltage of the transmission, or we call it as this will be the voltage of your transmission line while we are considering for your impedance. Okay, so this is EL will be the transmission line voltage. So friends, as we seen that in that particular simple single line diagram of a power flow in which we can get the sending end voltage, that is E1, receiving end voltage, that is E2, or we call it as the E2, and with angle that we call it as the power angle, which will be del 1 for the sending end voltage and del 2 for your receiving end voltage. So that will be indicated by this angle. Okay, and this EL will be given by the voltage of a transmission line when basically this transmission line will possesses the inductive impedance. So friends, let's we can discuss in detail what are the different changes while we are discussing different parts of your transmission line. So first of all, we can getting the very important parameter that will be called it as what should be the value of the line current which will be flowing through that particular transmission line. So we can getting the value of the line current by means of a simple value of IL. So we can get the fundamental formula, that is IL will be the line current. According to that, we are getting the value of IL is equal to EL divided by X. What do you mean by the EL? It will be the voltage of your transmission line. And what do you mean by X? X is the inductive impedance for your given transmission line. So friends, this will be the very important formula. By using of this formula, we can get the value of your line current. That line current will be flowing through that particular transmission line, and we call it as this line current will be IL. Okay, so friends, basically from this particular diagram we can get a simple power angle equation, or we call it as a power equation of your transmission line. So what should be the power equation of your transmission line? So we are getting a simple form of equation, that is P is equal to, that is E1 E2 divided by X into sine del. So friends, this will be the power equation of your transmission line, where we have already discussed the E1 will be the sending end voltage, the E2 will be the receiving end voltage, the value of X is the value of the impedance of your circuit, while we are only considering the inductive impedance, ignoring the resistive and capacitive impedance. Del is the angle between your sending end voltage and receiving end voltage. So according to that, we can get this fundamental equation. So friends, as we seen in that particular phasor number second, we can get the value of this IL. where we can getting the first phasor. That first phasor will be called it as E1 at an angle of del 1. So this will be the for the sending end voltage. This will be the E2 will be the basically E2 at an angle of del 2. Okay, and we are getting the value of EL. So what should be the value of EL? It is a transmission line voltage while we are connecting the sending end voltage and receiving end voltage to each other. And this will be the value of your line current. So this value we are getting from the fundamental basic equation of the Ohm's law, because as we seen from the Ohm's law, if the current flowing through the circuit will be directly proportional to the potential difference across the two ends of the conductor, and by which we can get the value of the line current, and the line current will be giving the value of this EL divided by the total transmission line reactance, okay, or we call it as impedance. So we can get the value of IL is equal to EL divided by X. Okay, so this will be the very important and understanding phenomena for your sake of the understanding of the derivation of your dynamic stability of a transmission line. Okay, so friends, now we can discussing the in detail about the phasor diagram of your transmission line. So friends, as shown in that particular diagram, we are getting the very important the active and reactive power phasor diagram of your transmission line. So friends, first of all, we can get what should be the value of the active power component and reactive power component. So friends, first of all, we can I can draw, please follow this line. So this will be the first phasor. That phasor will be E1, that is cos del, and this is the active power which will be given by the E1 into cos del. Similarly, we are getting the second active power in concern with your receiving end subtension. This is E2 into cos del. Similarly, we are getting the value of reactive component in concern with the sending end voltage. This is E1 into sin del. Similarly, we are getting the second component, because this E1 sin del we can represent here. So it will be showing that is E1 into sin del. Okay. Similarly, we can getting the receiving end reactive component. So this is E2 sin del. Okay, so friends, that particular phasor diagram we can get the value of this phasor. So what should be the value of this phasor? So according to the phasor representation, this value of this phasor is nothing but the value of E1. So what do you mean by the E1? So we are getting the value of E1. So that will be the value of your E1, that will be the E1 minus E2 into cos del, because we are getting the value of E2 into cos del here. Okay, so this is the total value of E2 into cos del. So what we are getting this term, so this term is nothing but the E1 minus E2 into cos del. So we are getting this information from your basic phasor, and if you want to find out the value of this phasor, that is the phasor representation of this thing and this part, so this phasor will be given by means of simple. So the total, this phasor will be basically treated as an value of your E1. So obviously, if you want to get the value of this phasor, so it will give you the value phasor representation will be E2 minus E1 into cos del. Okay, so we are getting these two phasor by means of the simple phasor representation. So as we know that the fundamental concept of your power flow from your transmission line, we are getting the value of the active power as well as reactive power. So the angle between these two, that is the sending end voltage and receiving end voltage, that is del, we call it as del. So if you want to get the value of the active component of current flow, if you want to get the value of the active component of your current flow, so as we seen that the IP1 and or we call it as the value of your IP1. So we are getting the value of the IP1 according to the fundamental formula, that is current IL is equal to EL divided by X. So if you want to get the value of this current, that is the value of your active component of current or reactive component of current, we want to take the consideration of this voltage divided by the impedance. So friends, for the sake of the IP1, this will be the positive, or we call it as the value of your active component of current flowing through the E1. So we are getting this value of the IP1 is E2 into sine del divided by X. Now we can derive this derivation by means of the simple mathematical calculation. So we are getting the value of the IP1. So as we seen that the IQ1 will be the perpendicular to the IP1, so we are getting the value of the IQ1 here. So this will be the value of the IQ1, and from the simple phasor representation, if you want to get the value of the IQ1, it is the reactive component of current flow at the end of the E1. So we are getting this value of IQ1 is E1 minus E2 into cos del divided by X. Okay. Similarly, friends, we can getting the value of IP2. So what will be the value of? So this will be the value of the IP2. So we are getting the value of the IP2, that is E1 into sine del divided by X. Similarly, the IQ2 will be perpendicular to that particular IP1. So this will be the IP2. The perpendicular value is IQ2. So IQ2 is the reactive component of current flowing through the E2. So we can getting the value of IQ2 is E2 minus E1 into cos del divided by X. So friends, this is the phasor representation or the phasor diagram of your active and reactive power flow of your transmission line. So friends, now we can get this all equation by using a simple mathematical formulation. So we can start to understand the simple mathematical formulation, and for the sake of the simple mathematical formulation, first we can get the value of the active component. Now we can write this will be the active component of current flow, that is active component of current flow at E1. So according to the fundamental equation of current, that is we call it as IP1 is equal to E2 into sine del divided by X. Basically we are getting this equation according to this equation because we have the fundamental equation IL is equal to EL by X. So if you want to get the value of IP1, and what should be the value of the IP1, so for the sake of that we want to refer this phasor diagram. So in this phasor diagram we are getting the value of IP1. So this IP1 will be represented by this. So what will be the equation of this IP1, that is E2 into sine del divided by X. So this equation we can rewrite here. Okay. Similarly, if you want to get the second term, so what should be the second term? We call it as the reactive component. I can write the reactive component of current flow at E1. So it will be called it as IQ1. So we are getting the value of the IQ1. So we are getting the value of IQ1 from the phasor representation. We are getting this term, that is E1 minus E2 into cos del divided by X. Okay, so we are getting this IQ1 by means of this simple phasor representation. I can again show you, that is IQ1. This is IP1 90 degree, that is IQ1. So this is 90 degree IQ1, and IQ1 value is E1 minus E2 into cos del divided by X. So we are getting this value of the IQ1. Okay. So this is IQ1 is equal to E1 minus E2 into cos del divided by X. So from this fundamental two equation, now we are getting the value of basic thing, that will be the basic thing of your value will be the active power flow at E1 end. So now we can get the value of the active power at E1 end, because we are getting this the active component, reactive component of your current. Now we are getting the value of the active power at the even end. So what should be the formula of power? So as we know that electrical power will be calculated by the product of voltage and current. So we are getting the active power at even end, that is IP1 into E1. So now we want to substitute the value of this IP1 into that particular equation. Okay, we call it as the star equation. Now we can substitute the value of the IP1 into that equation. So what we are getting? So we are getting simply, okay, so I can write this equation for your sake of understanding. Again, that is P1 is equal to IP1 into E1. So we have the value of the IP1. So what should we have the value of IP1? IP1 is equal to E2 into sine del divided by X. Now we can substitute this value of IP1 into that equation. So we are getting the equation P1 is equal to E2 into sine del divided by X into E1. So similarly, we can rewrite this equation, that is P1 is equal to E1 into E2 into sine del divided by X. So this will be the active power of transmission line at the even end. Okay, so this will be the value of your active power. Similarly friends, we can getting the value of the reactive power at the value of your even end. So now we can get the value of the reactive power. So for the sake of the value of the reactive power, I can write this term, that is reactive power at even end is given by, so it is I Q, or we call it as, we want to get the value of the reactive power, so it is only Q1. So what do you mean by that particular term Q1 will be suggest that, so this term Q1 will be suggesting what? It will suggesting the value of your power. So what should be the value of your power? That is reactive power at the V1 end. It is we can getting the value, again it will be the simple, that is E1 into IQ1. So friends, we have the value of IQ1 that we have already derived earlier. So what should be the value of the IQ1? So the IQ1 value is E1 minus E2 into cos del divided by X. So now we can substitute this value into this equation. So we are getting this equation Q1 is equal to, that is E1 simple, that is E1 into E1 minus E2 into cos del divided by X. So this will be the equation of your what? Reactive power. So this will be the equation of your what? Reactive power at even end. Similarly, we can finding out the value of the active power and reactive power at the E2 end. So now we can again solve this equation, solve this derivation. So similarly, we can get the value of the, similarly we can get value of active and reactive power at E2 end. Okay, so let's we can solve this equation. So again we have to find out the value of the active component of current at E2 end. So we want to get the value of the active component of current at E2 end. So we are getting this value active component of current at E2 end, that is IP2. So what should be the equation of this IP2? It is E1 into sin del divided by x. So we are getting this equation from phasor diagram. Okay, so this will be the first part. Then we are just finding out the value of the similarly reactive component, that is the reactive component of your current, at E2 end. Okay, so we are getting this value IQ2. So we are getting the value of the IQ2 is what? That is E2 minus E1 into cos del divided by x. So basically we are getting this value of IP2 and IQ2 from the basic phasor diagram. Again, I can show you this phasor diagram for your sake of understanding, because it is very important. What should be the value of the IP2 and IQ2? We have to understand. So if you want to get the value of IP2 for the E2 end, so this will be the value of the IP2, this will be the value of the IQ2 that we had already derived from this particular phasor representation. So I can write this equation into that particular form. Okay, so this will be the value of your IP1, or we call it as the value of the IP2 for your end E2, that is E1 into sin del divided by x, and IQ2 is E2 minus E1 into cos del divided by x. So this is for your reference. Now friends, similarly we can get the value of the active power. So now it's time to accelerate ourselves. So we can get the value of the active power at end E2. So it will be the active power at end E2. So we are getting the value, that is P2. So we are getting the value of the P2. How we can getting this value? That is IP2 into E2, because we want to get the value of the power at E2. So that's why power is nothing but the product of current and voltages. So it is E2 is the voltage, IP2 is the current. Now we have the value of the IP2. So now we have value of IP2. So similarly, what should be the value of the IP2? So we have already derived this equation earlier, so I can show you what should be the value of your IP2. So we have the value of the IP2 is E1 into sin del divided by x. So simple, we can write this equation of your IP2. This what should be the equation? That is E1 into sin del divided by x. Okay, so simple, this will be the equation of IP2. Now we have to substitute this equation IP2 into that equation. So we can getting the value of the active power at end E2. So it is P2 is equal to E1 into this E2 divided by x into sin del. So we are getting the value of the active power at the end E2 by this fundamental equation. So this is the active power at the end E2. Similarly friends, we can draw the value of your reactive power. So friends, okay, I can write similarly we can get the value of your reactive power. Similarly we can get reactive power. This is active power, we can get the reactive power. And for the sake of the reactive power understanding, what we are doing, just we want to substitute the value of your system, that is IQ2 into E2. So this is IQ2 into E2. So similarly we have the value of the IQ2 previously. So what should be the value of the IQ2? So the value of the IQ2 is E2 minus E1 into cos del divided by x. So similarly we can substitute this value of IQ2 into that equation. So we have the value of Q2 is simple, that is E2 into E2 minus E1 into cos del divided by x. So this will be the formula of the reactive power at the E2 end. So this will be the formula of the reactive power from the E2N. So friends, from this equation of the active power at E1 end and active power at E2 end, we can get a very important equation. So friends, I can write from active power at E1 and E2 end, we have the value of P1 and P2. This all equal to E1 into E2 divided by X into sin del. How we can get? Because we have already derived this equation. I can show you how these equations are formed. So this is the value of P2, E1, E2, X into sin del. Similarly, we have derived the equation of the P1. So we have the equation of this P1. This is E1, E2 sin del X. So from this equation, we can say that the active component of your power for the E1 and E2 will be remaining the same, that P1 is equal to P2 is equal to E1 into E2 into sin del. So friends, from that particular equation, for the dynamic stability consideration, if you want to control the power of your system, then we can simply change the value of the sending end voltage, receiving end voltage, or we can change the angle between the sending end voltage and receiving end voltage. And if you are changing the impedance of your transmission line, so we can change the power of your transmission line. This will be the very important concept, because if you want to control the power of your system, then you have to control, these are the different controllable parameters of your transmission line. So friends, as shown in figure, this is the half sine wave curve of the active power, with increasing to a peak with a 90% power, then falls with the increase in angle, and finally zero at 120 degree. So friends, as shown in figure, this will be the power angle curve. So this will be the power, this will be the angle, so it is power angle curve. We call it as power angle curve. So what it indicates, it is a half sine wave curve increasing with peak at a 90% or 90 degree, that is the 90 degree, it's a peak value, and it will falls, and finally zero at 180 degree. So friends, as shown in that particular power angle equation, we are getting the different values of power. So this will be the value of power P1, this is value of power P2, this is value of power P3. So friends, as we seen that this will be the power angle curve or power angle equation, by which we can changing the value of your P by changing the value of the reactance, or we call it as the changing the value of your transmission line impedance, because at the starting of your derivation we already assume that the resistance and capacitance are ignored, so we are taking the only consideration of the inductive impedance. So if you want to control this power, so you have to control this value of the impedance, and if you are changing this value of the impedance, we can change the power, and we are getting the value of the power at the P2, that we said this power will be the P max, or we can getting the value of the power P3, so depending upon the change in the reactance. So from this equation we can say that while we are increasing or decreasing the value of the reactance of your transmission line, we can control the power. Suppose if you are reducing this is the value of the reactance, then obviously the power of your transmission line will be improved, and if you are just increasing the value of the transmission line reactance, then obviously this power and transmission line reactance will be inversely proportional. So according to that, the value of your transmission line impedance, because why I am telling like it is a impedance, it is a reactance, because as we seen that at the starting of the derivation, we have already known the fundamental component z is equal to r plus jx, where z is called it as the impedance, but at the starting of the derivation we said that the value of resistance is ignored, so the value of reactance is nothing but the value of the impedance. So that's why we can say that this will be the inductive impedance of your transmission line. Okay, So friends, this will be the power angle equation. Now we can get the phasor representation of your system. So as shown in that particular phasor, we can rewrite the E1 will be the sending end voltage. I can rewrite here, that is sending end voltage. E2 will be the receiving end voltage. That is receiving end voltage. And this is the phasor representation, or we said that the phasor representation will be that thing will be given by the phasor representation of its magnitude. So this phasor representation is E1 minus E2. Okay, so this will be that phasor representation. So friends, if we are using a transmission line by the injecting voltage into your transmission line in series, so obviously in concern with that, if you want to injecting a voltage, because we have the fundamental formula of P is equal to E1 into E2 divided by X into sin del. So if you are increasing the injected voltage perpendicular to the current, so this will be representation by this phasor representation. So this will be the current, and this is the injected voltage will be perpendicular to that particular current. So this will be the another phasor representation in which the injected voltage will be perpendicular to your line current. Okay, so friends, after that we can get this will be the very important phasor representation. Okay, in which the value of the E1 will be called it as the sending end voltage, E2 will be called it as the receiving end voltage, then the value of the injected voltage will be in series with the that particular E1 end. So friends, this representation of this curve is nothing but for the power control, or if you want to get the compensation of your transmission line, for the sake of that we are injecting voltage in series with your transmission line. So this is representation of injected voltage in series with a transmission line. So friends, in this way we have detailedly study about the power flow and the dynamic stability consideration of your transmission line. So we can say that, so it is appreciable that without high speed control of any parameter, that is E1 and E2 corresponding to the 90-degree, it necessary to maintain the adequate margin needed for dynamic stability to ensure the system does not collapse following outage of a transmission line. So friends, in this way we have detailedly study about the dynamic stability consideration of your transmission line. So thank you.